All day I face the barren waste without a taste of water. Cool water. Oh, Dan and I, with throats burned dry, and souls that cry for water. Cool, clear water. Keep 'em moving, Dan. Don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man. And he spreads the burning sand with water. Oh, Dan, don't you see that big green tree where the water's running clear and it's waiting there for you and me? Water. Cool, clear water. Nights are cool, and I'm a fool. Each star's a pool of water. Cool water. With the dawn, I wake and yawn, and I'll carry on to water. Cool, clear water. Keep 'em moving, Dan. Don't listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man. He spreads the burning sand with water. Oh, Dan, don't you see that big green tree where the water's running clear? It's waiting there for you and me. Clear water. Cool, clear water. Cool, clear water. Cool, clear water. I hope you brought a beverage of some kind with you today. On the ad, it said bring a beverage and join us. We're calling this Drink Before You're Thirsty. And the first time I ever heard that phrase, actually, was from the lips of our guest this afternoon, who will be with us in a little while, Paula D'Arcy. I'll tell you more about her in a bit. But I want to sing you a song about being thirsty. Some of you who've been watching week after week know that I did a group of songs based on the miracle stories in the Gospel of John. And the first miracle that was reported of Jesus was the turning of water into wine at the wedding feast in Cana. And Dr. Jim Forbes, who I met when I audited courses that my wife took at Union Seminary toward her MDiv degree. Jim Forbes was the teacher of preaching at Union and also the pastor at Riverside Church for a while. And he did a sermon based on this story. And he said, you remember the story goes that they came to Jesus' mother and they said, what are we going to do? There's no more wine. And, the story goes that Jesus had them turn the water into wine. So Forbes says that the idea of wine missing from the feast, wine is that substance that smooths the pathways of conversation. People sitting around a table who don't know each other can take a sip of wine and begin talking. And Forbes reckoned it to the notion that in our culture, the stuff that smooths the pathways of talking, politeness, civility, all those characteristics of a civil society have gone missing in our country. And that was several years ago he did that sermon. And it seems more appropriate than ever today. The idea that our culture is missing the wine of, well, you'll hear it in the song. This is called The Gift of Wine. As I look around me, clearly I can see life does not begin to be what life was meant to be. Days that once were miracles, nights have lost their shine. All is dry and thirsty since the feast is out of wine. Riches all around us, possessions piled high, symbols of our striving, rising high into the sky. Frantically we're searching for what we cannot find, and there is no satisfaction since the feast is out of wine. Wine of sweet communion, wine of home and place, wine of love and laughter, wine of gift and grace. Love whose blood was freely shed, a new life to release. Grant to us the gift of wine, till all our thirsting cease. See the walls are rising, see the walls go on, the wealthy rule by treachery, all hope for peace is gone. Brothers kill one another for rewards they'll never find, and hearts have turned to hubris since the feast is out of wine. Wine of sweet communion, wine of home and place, wine of love and laughter, wine of gift and grace. Love whose blood was freely shed, a new life to release. Grant to us the gift of wine, till all our thirsting cease. Now my thoughts turn inward. Clearly I can see. My heart is like a desert, there's a mighty thirst in me. Days that once were a miracle now have lost their shine. All I taste is tedium, since my soul is out of wine. Wine of sweet communion, wine of home and place, wine of love and laughter, wine of gift and grace. Love whose blood was freely shed, a new life to release. Grant to us the gift of wine. Grant to us the gift of wine. Grant to us the gift of wine, till all our thirsting So I'm going to tell you a story. It's a children's story, really, for children between the ages of and The story is about a girl I used to know, whose name was Alice. And what you really have to know about the girl named Alice is this. She is absolutely crazy about, head over heels in love with stuff. She likes very expensive stuff. She likes multicolored stuff. She likes antique stuff. She likes hard to find stuff. In short, she likes any and every kind of stuff. Now, Alice wants every single bit of her stuff to be with her all the time. So Mama has to make her a special dress. Mama has to make her a special dress, not an ordinary dress like you would wear with tiny little pockets. Oh no! She's got to have this great big dress with great big humongous pockets to contain all her stuff. Now she's got so much stuff in those great big humongous pockets, poor girl can't even walk. All she can do is waddle. She waddles around here and there, waddling around everywhere, waddling at home, waddling at school, waddling around looking like a doggone fool. 'cause she's got all that stuff in her great big humongous pockets. Oh. Now, one fine day, Alice goes with her family to the amusement park. And there's a brand new ride called the Upside Down Turnaround Machine. Oh, Mom, she says, I want to go on that ride. Upside Down Turnaround Machine, I want to go on that ride. So she does. She gets in the little car and it goes up and 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 over and over and over and over, and before you know it, it's flying completely upside down. And what do you suppose happens to all that stuff in her great big humongous pockets? It goes tumbling, tumbling, tumbling down, tumbling, tumbling down. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling down, tumbling, tumbling down, tumbling, tumbling, tumbling down, tumbling, tumbling down, yeah, tumbling, tumbling, tumbling down. Before you know it, she not has one little bit of stuff in those great big humongous pockets, and all the other kids, they grabbed all the stuff from her great big humongous pockets and they ran away with it. So when Alice got through with the ride, there was not one single bit of stuff. What am I going to do now? All my stuff is gone forever. And she started to waddle home and discovered the strangest thing. She wasn't waddling anymore. She was walking. Not only could she walk, but she could skip and leap and jump and dance and run. And she got home and she said to her mom, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And she told the whole story. And she started leaping and walking and dancing and skipping all over the place. Now, a very interesting thing happened. Just so happened that there was a river that ran right behind Alice's house. It was called the Temple River because it actually originated in a rock formation way up on a mountain that looked kind of like a temple of sorts. It was a big, tall rock formation, and this water was streaming out of it, and it ran right past the back of Alice's house, and she'd never noticed it before. She was so obsessed with the stuff in her pockets. She said, people tell me about this river. They say the water tastes so good and it's so clean and so pure that there are even healing qualities. Maybe I'll take a drink. And she waded into that river and she got right down into the water, which she never could have done with all that stuff in her great big humongous pockets. She got right down into that water and took a long, slow drink. And she felt so good, so alive. Everything was so fresh. And when she got out of that water, the world looked so almost new. She looked up and down and everywhere, all around, and the world was, as E.E. Cummings says, puddle wonderful. And so she got out of the river, and she's been a different girl ever since. No more, sometimes she accidentally piles some stuff in her pockets. But she always is sure to get rid of it and go back down to the river for a long, slow drink. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where you ought to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. true simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round. When Interlude Retreat Corporation, our nonprofit, was formed and started doing retreats for church musicians in their mid-career, we said, if we could get Paula D'Arcy to lead our retreat, wouldn't that be amazing? She's a therapist, a counselor, a writer, a poet, a speaker. I had first heard Paula years ago in a church in Minnesota talking about loss and grief, and was mesmerized. And the other people who were planning these retreats had heard Paula too, and we thought, nah, there's no way we can get Paula. She's so busy. She's got so many speaking engagements. And besides, we have no money. And so we called up Paula on the phone, just on a lark, and told her about the retreats and said, yeah, I'll come. I said, we have no money. She said, that's okay, I'll come. And so for 11 years now, Paula D'Arcy has been our retreat facilitator. And one of the things that Paula says at every retreat, there are some classic Paula D'Arcy's, but one of the classics is drink before you're thirsty. And it's a lesson that we have come to know and love. And so I want really for you, my friends, to meet this amazing, wonderful friend of mine, the beautiful, the wonderful, the elegant, the verbally profuse and delightful Paula D'Arcy. Paula, good afternoon or good evening, wherever it may be.
It's good evening here, Ken, but it's great. It's really great.
Wonderful to hear your voice and to be with you again. Last time we were together was a couple of months ago at an Interlude Retreat.
Right. Another virtual experience, but it was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I want people to know a little bit about you, a little bit about your life and what you are doing now, how you're coping with COVID, and then so after we talk a little bit, I want you to tell one of your stories. So tell our folks just a wee bit about who Paula D'Arcy is.
Okay. I laughed a lot when you were talking about the first time that we began Interlude and you said we have no money. And I thought to myself, that was preparation, I guess, for this year. When all of a sudden your livelihood has vanished. So here we are. And the line, drink before you're thirsty, comes from someone who ran marathons. And they were telling me how many principles in running there were for life, and that I used to live on the course for the Boston Marathon. So I was very familiar with holding out a paper cup of water or a slice of orange. And he said that when you're running a marathon, if you wait to take the water until you experience thirst, then you're already dehydrated. It's already too late. So that became one of the things that we've, as you say, Ken, we've held in every single interlude, is that in order to, have energy for life and stay healthy, and also have what you need to care for other people and to take care of their needs, you have to do that first, and you have to drink on a regular basis, feeling thirsty or not. So,
and we keep getting letters from our friends at Interlude about some of these classic lessons that we have learned. Drink before you're thirsty. Pain that is not transformed is transmitted, and there are lots of things like that. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful 10 years. But I want our friends here to hear one of Paula D'Arcy's stories. And then after that story, I'm going to try my best to do what we get to do at Interlude, and that is to do an improvised response to your story. So, what have you got for us today?
Okay. When I was thinking about where we all are, and there's a glut of information, I think, on my inbox anyway, of how to stay healthy, to exercise more, to eat the right things, to keep up your immune system, to get sleep. But what comes to me is, what is an inner resource? Like, what is there that will keep us really grounded and strong, heart and soul? And this is a principle that I have lived with for so many years. And, like anyone else, sometimes you do it well and sometimes you don't. But the principle would be that you want to tell your truth to at least one person. Very much like Ken's song about Alice, because we all carry things inside and they accumulate. And then one rests on another, on another, on another, until a lot of the times we are worn down just because of all the untended sorrow that never got processed, all of the things that are going on in life that we just distance ourselves a little bit from. And one of my favorite examples of somebody doing this is this. This was about 20 years ago. I had written a play. It was for two people. I played my own part of my own life, and I had another actor who performed this with me. We traveled all over the country, and we'd come in the summertime to Indiana. And the place that we'd been offered in order to perform the play was a high school that was closed because it was summertime. And they had a state-of-the-art theater and the biggest light board, soundboard that you could imagine. And when we got there that night, having both of us traveled in from different places, it was to find that the person that we'd been promised and who agreed to run all the tech and do that amazing light board and soundboard, it never got communicated to him. He was off someplace visiting his grandmother 4 states away, and there was no one around who knew how to use it. Plus, we had been promised this beautiful stage that they had, but on the stage were every prop that they had used in their season for the whole year. And these were not things like, we were not moving lamps or end tables, couches, bed setups. I mean, everything was filthy, and we didn't even know as we were moving things if it was even going to be a go. And so while we're making this effort, a man wanders into the room and he said, "What's going on here?" And we explained to him the play was basically the story of something that happened to me in the early part of my life, a drunk driving accident when I was 27 that took the lives of my husband and my daughter Sarah, who was nearly 2 years old. And at the time I was 3 months pregnant, so you can imagine it was a very dark time. But the play was about giving hope and seeing how if we connect with something that's larger than what we're going through, it's a light and we can find our way. So we explained to the man that we lost the person who was supposed to work the light board, and he said he was the janitor for the school, and we said, "Do you know how to do this?" And he said, "No, but I'm willing." And he sat down. I mean, it took about an hour and a half, and he clicked on one button and then took a note. Okay, that puts on that light. Clicked on the next button, and we're thinking, oh my God, but we kept moving couches and moving everything. And then he worked on all the technical parts of it, the sound. And then he asked, "What is this play about?" And so I explained what I had just explained to you, but I also said that in the play, I had written the moment in time, which was 7 years past the accident, when I had actually encountered the drunk driver myself. and what a powerful experience that had been. And it's now like 10:30 at night, and we thank him profusely for what he's done. And he said, I have a terrible request. I think I need to watch this play. And he said, tomorrow night I'm going to be with my notes and with all these keys and putting music on for you. And he said, I'll never see it. And I just wonder, would you perform it tonight just for me? So we did. And it was really late, and he sat in the middle of the theater. And it's quite an experience to perform something that we'd been used to performing for hundreds of people with just one person in the audience who was weeping through the whole thing. And afterwards, this is what he told us. He said, I am living estranged from most of the people in my family, and it has to do with an argument, somebody's feelings getting hurt, somebody feeling betrayed, disappointed. I mean, all the human things we have. And he said, I just haven't spoken to them in so many years. And he said, when I saw that scene and what happened to you, what you learned about forgiveness when you met the drunk driver, he said, that was the thing I needed to hear. And I would say that was the truth he needed to tell. I mean, these truths that we need to tell to at least one person, it's so often the person we need to tell it to is ourselves. And sometimes that starts by telling it to a friend or telling it to a counselor, telling it to somebody that we meet in an airport. But often it's having a journal, maybe writing things down and admitting to yourself, I'm carrying this, and it's a huge burden. And that man did the lights for our two performances 2 nights in a row. But when he arrived the first night, he had with him all of the family that he hadn't been speaking to for years. He brought them, and we had a great conversation with them afterwards. So it's about not carrying things that are untended, because they don't go away. Even if 20 years pass, they're still there, and one piles on top of another. So Ken would say this is another one of my statements, my classic statements, that it's like holding beach balls underwater. And if you've ever done that, you know that you have to exert a little bit of pressure because the balls naturally are buoyant and they just want to pop up. And all these things that we're holding inside and these things that we never address, because pain, I understand this, wants to move. It wants to get from the inside to the outside. And sometimes things don't resolve, like they don't tie up with a bow. But as long as we have begun to move it, we can find a way to get beyond it. But if they're just piled up, then the next hurt comes or the next resentment, and we have to work doubly hard to keep everything that we're already holding at bay and then put the new things on it. So I would offer that to you as a resource that can so ground us in this time and really make us ready, actually, to take care of other people. I used to be on airplanes, every week of the year. And one of the things that they always say on planes, or at least they did then, was if we have a sudden loss in cabin pressure, an oxygen mask is going to fall from the cabinet above your head. And if you're traveling with somebody else who needs your help, put your own mask on first. It's like the only work we can do is the work of our own life, so then we're available to others. So I'm handing it back to you, Ken.
I know you're busy. You've got so much to do. You've got your schedule planned from morning all day through, but I am asking for a moment of your time. I am asking you to help me make a rhyme of this chaos I'm living in. All these things that I am holding deep inside, as I try to keep on walking, as I try to do this right, and I know if I don't somehow get this out, I just might break. So I'm asking you for a little time, just to sit and wait. 'Cause I've got a need, and you've got a heart, and between us, you see, there's a play to be performed, and it's called honesty. Maybe if I can talk with you and tell you what's true, you'll help me through, that it just might be I can release this pressure that's been killing me all this time. And find some peace of mind. And find some peace of soul. And one more step to being whole.
Thank you.
So where do we go from here, Paul?
Well, another resource that I thought of, this time of COVID, even when it passes, what still remains is needing to ask ourselves, how are we going to live together in this world? And how will we find what's beautiful about us? And one of the things that's so strong for me is that for the most part, we live in our minds, and we live in the past, or we live in the future worrying about it. And it's such a practice to begin to live in the present and to see what is actually being given to us. Because even as difficult as this time has been, there have been many things that have been given to us, chief among them, which is time, I think, and space. And we've had to become creative about how we connect with people. And so just this little vignette from my own neighborhood. The first week that we were all confined to our homes, the man across the street was going out with his wife to the grocery store, and she tripped in the garage and hit her head. And that head injury caused her to die. So here he is. They've been married for so many years. He's 80 years old, and there can be no public funeral. There can be no viewing. There can be no people coming in order to offer help. There can be no singing, which helped me, I know, more than almost anything in the depths of my grieving, and some of the people in the neighborhood started to text one another. And the following night, we asked him if he would just open the door to his house at 9 o'clock at night. And when he did, there were 25 of us from the neighborhood, people who formerly had not really known one another before. And we were all stretched along the street. We were 6 feet apart. We were all wearing a mask. And we called out to him, and he stood there. He had his hand, I remember at the start, over his heart. And then someone read something that they had written. A couple of the teenagers read some scripture. Somebody initiated saying just the Lord's Prayer, and people on that street were so many different religions or no religion, but everyone showed up and everyone recited the prayer. And then someone began to sing Amazing Grace. And it's a really interesting thing. I've heard that song, have sung that myself so many hundreds of times, but here we are, and we're in the beginning stages of we don't know what, and we're stretched along this street, and we're singing it with the people that we pass but don't meet, day after day after day. And it was unbelievably moving. And when we finished, then we all turned in silence and went back into our own homes. And I went out to my backyard, and I have a little deck there, and I laid down on the deck and just watched the moon and just watched the stars. And over the period of this pandemic, I have seen virtually, and I've heard stories of people over and over again deciding, I can't touch with my hands anymore, I can't touch with my arms, but how do I touch? Like, how do I touch? And we figured out a way that night, and ways to be together and to be close to one another, because I think that one of the things that has been happening in our world well before COVID is that we were living larger and larger distances from one another. And now suddenly, as I walk the streets of my neighborhood, we all recognize one another. There is no one ever that fails to say good morning. And we're discovering ways that we could touch, because that also grounds us. It's good for both the heart and soul, and it offers something for the journey. So.
Amazing grace, that sweet old song. I've sung so many times before, but on this night it sounds like stars, and oh, so very much more. I do not know your politics, but of this I am sure. I'm human, and so are you. And how shall we endure? I long to touch, but cannot so. Not with these hands of mine. I will touch you with my soul. And I will see you shine. The simplest things that we can say, simplest things to do, bring me to you and you to me, and make this moment new.
Thank you, Ken.
Well, there we are. I want to tell all of our friends who are watching and listening about two things. A little bit about Redbird Foundation, which, Paula, is your nonprofit that does so many wonderful things. You put on retreats and conferences. You help people who have no funds to be able to go to these circles and retreats. You put on conferences for women all across the world. What else does Redbird do?
I mean, there are so many different forms that our work takes, but I think from the beginning, our intention has been the healing of the human heart. That hearts break in life, and sometimes we walk on in ways that have caused us to lose the light and to lose the energy that makes life rich. And so we work in whatever form for the healing of the human heart.
We will put up a link to Redbird Foundation. If any of you who are watching and listening want to check them out, it's a really wonderful, a wonderful ministry. I also want to remind you about Interlude. We are so grateful to everybody who has donated to Interlude Retreats. It's our nonprofit that has sponsored all these retreats and keeps these concerts going and keeps us alive when the road doesn't. And so we would love to seek for your assistance, for your being our partners in keeping this work going. Many of you have already done so, and we hope that others of you will do so to help us keep this work alive. interluderetreats.org. Do check us out. And also, Paula D'Arcy has many wonderful books. Those you can find out about all the books that she has written on the Redbird Foundation website. Ken Medema, the singer guy, has a lot of CDs. You can find out about those on his website, kenmedema.com. And I just want to thank so many people. I'm going to sing a couple more songs, but I want to thank Paula for being a part of this gathering this afternoon. And I would encourage you to communicate with her. That you can find out all about that on the website. And communicate with us too. And next week, our theme is Songs for an Autumn Day. So I want to sing you now a song that actually was inspired by a poem that Paula uses at our Interlude Retreats. It's a poem called Fire. And it's a poem about how it's important when you light a fire, it's important to have space in between the logs, because if you pile up the logs too close, there's no oxygen, and the logs won't burn well. And after reading that poem at our retreats for several years, this is the song that arose. It's called Space Between. Daddy lights a fire on a long, cold winter night. That fire will keep us safe and warm until the morning light. Don't pile the logs too close, he says, or she won't burn hot and clean. You need a lot of air in there. There must be space between. Little fire, keep us safe and warm. Calm our fears, shut out that winter storm. Burn hot and true, burn bright and clean. Thanks for the space between. Thanks for the space between. My mom and dad were busy folk, had far too much to do. 2 hard jobs and 2 blind kids, and aging parents too. And sometimes they would disappear. For hours they'd be unseen. I don't know where they went back then, but it must have been a space between. Little fire, keep us safe and warm. Calm our fears, shut out that winter storm. Burn hot and true, burn bright and clean. Thanks for the space between. Thanks for the space between. My head is full of melodies. My hands are on the keys. I'm longing for that perfect text. My mind is not at ease. I worry for my business, for threats as yet unseen. And then I hear my daddy's words. There must be space between. Little fire, keep us safe and warm. Calm our fears, shut out that winter storm. Burn hot and true, burn bright and clean. Thanks for the space between. Thanks for the space between. Thanks for the space between. Well, there we are. Our time has flown so quickly. next week, Thursday, songs for an autumn day. And I'm going to ask a request of you, my friends. Autumn is a very special time of year for a lot of us. Things are changing. Some of us love to watch the colors of the trees change. School starts. There's a lot of excitement around autumn sometimes. I would love to get your comments on either my favorite autumn or impressions of autumn. In other words, maybe there's a fall long ago. I remember my first fall in college. I was on the campus of Michigan State University. And when I walked from my dormitory to class, I was assailed with these amazing fragrances, leaves and flowers and mulch and all wonderful, and the beginnings of cool breeze blowing. And it was so enlivening and exciting. I'd love to hear about a favorite autumn of yours or impressions of autumn, just phrases for you that describe what you think about autumn. And then I'll improvise some songs based on your stories. Now, people, I got to tell you, some of us in this audience are a little bit slow to come up with stuff. You know, let me encourage you. Let me nudge you a little bit. Let me poke you in the ribs just a little bit. I'd love to hear from you. I really, really would. And we'll choose a bunch of stuff. And I'll sing some songs along with that. So, songs for an autumn day. And let's do a verse of our song. Song is alive. You are the ones who get to give the pitch. Remember? You are the ones who get to give the pitch. This time when I sing, get to give the pitch, I won't sing it. You sing it. Oh, the song is alive everywhere. Oh, the song is alive everywhere. And you are the ones who... For the song is alive. Yes, the song is alive. Yes, the song is alive everywhere. Good night, Beverly. Good night, Dave. Good night, Jane. Good night, Emily Jane Style. Good night, all of my friends who are listening. We'll see you in a week. Write me a story. Bye.